Well, I can give you a teeth update.
Do you have the theme queued up?
I don't, but I'm gonna play it somewhere. I'm gonna play it right here. Teeth update.
Okay.
Song's playing.
Teeth update.
Yeah, so long story short, I bruised one of my teeth. You can do that.
What? What?
Yeah, no, you can do that. So
is it like literally purple?
No, no, you can't see it. It's like inside. It's like internal.
Oh, okay. You can bruise like the nerve endings inside. Okay, go.
Well, no, because I had. Listen, I don't claim to know what any of this means. All right, I had root canals. I had 2 version C root canals, and then I had to have like restorative work because I have veneers. So I had to have a special thing done. And after that restorative work, my tooth started hurting again, and I was freaking out. So I had to go back. And she's like, "Yeah, you're hitting your tooth on another tooth again." And there's a bruise, probably. She said a bruise, probably. And I'm like, all right. So I have to get more teeth shaved off. And that's my teeth update.
That's your whole teeth? Well, plus she didn't know that you've been playing Punch Buggy with your teeth.
Yeah. Did I tell you, Matt, that like when I play games like Stardew Valley and Fields of Mystria, I grind my teeth? Okay. I get so stressed out that I start grinding, and so now I have to wear a mouth guard when I'm playing Stardew Valley.
Wait, hold on. Wait. Hi everyone. I'm the guest. I was sitting over here quietly trying to figure out where I was going to merge into this, but now I'm picturing a person whose face I've never seen wearing a mouth guard. What part of Stardew Valley makes you grind your teeth? Is it the RP? Where in it? Is it when you're trying to date everyone in the village, or are you just terrified you're going to miss the Easter egg drop? What happened?
Yeah. How does the Easter egg hunt treat your teeth?
Well, first of all, the Easter egg hunt is very stressful, so don't make... How dare you poke fun at me? No, I guess it's like when I'm farming and I have to like early on when you don't have all the great tools, so you're doing everything one by one, it gets really tedious. And anytime anything gets tedious, I start grinding.
Okay, I would think like the cavern would make you do it, but not like you're actually. So you're playing a cozy game that was designed to calm people down, and you're over here like just destroying your teeth.
Correct, it's a game with no time limits, with no dead ends, with nothing. There's no stakes whatsoever.
The stakes are high.
Every time I played the game, my wife has walked into the room and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm playing Stardew Valley." And she said, "Are you winning?" And I say, "Babe, there's no way to win. It's just about existing and living in a world where things are nice. If anything, it is a simulator for the perfect world."
But it's not perfect. It's not perfect.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. I'm beginning to understand this podcast rapidly.
Wait, you've never seen my face?
I don't know who listen, Matt was like, "Hey, do you want to come on a podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I always say yes to podcasts.
Matt, you didn't show our guest who I am?
No, there's no point at which we were hanging out and I pulled up a picture of you on my phone. I was like, "Do you want to go on a podcast with this
hottie?" With this Well, no, you should show him who I am. Now he doesn't know who he's talking to.
No, that's fine.
I think now that you've told the story about your teeth,
listen, that's me.
He knows who he's talking to.
I have a pretty good idea of like what I can pick when you just have bruised teeth.
Yeah.
And the anxiety that won't let you farm.
Yeah, that's me. I hope you have. Yeah, I hope you.
Also, Pearlman, it's funny that you called just like a world of self-sustaining, off-the-grid farming your perfect world, where, you know, your whole thing is about ending up in a traditional marriage with 2 kids in a house. I think listeners need to know Pearlman's a big fan of the return with a V.
Oh, is that what I am? I reject modernity? Listen, I'm going to tell you right now. Can I tell you? When I play Stardew Valley, I always go Mart. Mart.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's right. We're heel turning at the beginning of the episode.
Holy shit!
I think we got to start the music before we get into a huge argument.
Hey everybody, welcome to Save Your Game. I am your host, Matt Aucamp, and with me, the bruised, the battered,
Thanks.
the calcium deficient.
Oh.
It's Pushing Up Roses, everybody.
Hey everyone. How's it going? My teeth hurt, but it's okay. This is fine. Everything's fine.
Have you switched to like the almond milk? Is that what's been going on?
I mean, I never drank dairy milk. Do you not know this about me?
I think we have talked about it on the show a little bit. I have switched to almond milk, but also I have amazing teeth.
And skin. It's really weird, and I don't like it very much. No offense,
I thought
Matt.
you would like. I thought you would fight me about it. Instead, you one
Instead,
upped my.
complimented
Yeah,
him.
you added a compliment on top. Now I'm really uncomfortable with that.
Sorry, what I meant to say is that you look like a garbage person.
Thank you. Fucking finally, I can be comfortable here. Okay, everybody. I need you all to just get ready because we have got a whopper of a guest today. This man, I've known him for a very long time, and it is only recently that I discovered that he is a George Soros plant that has been placed into my life to influence my politics for the past 2 decades. This is my friend. You know him as a TikToker, YouTuber, Instagrammer, political commentator,
Stardew Valley player, but not the right way.
It's Pearlmania500, aka Alex Pearlman.
That's right. I brought my own air horn, baby. I was about to almost play you off there, Matt. That was too long of an intro.
That was a long intro.
No, but it was good. Yeah, I mean, I have known you for almost 20 years now. That's kind of weird. But it's great to be here. I would like to go ahead and start out by saying that was a joke at the beginning, everybody. Of course, I represent whatever I actually never get deep enough into the game for it to matter. I'm an early game player on all of these survival games. I master, it doesn't matter. Minecraft, any of these type of games where you have to craft things and like build up a place. I get into it very early on. And then I stop playing for like a day or two. And when I restart, I'm like, I don't remember how to do anything. So I just restart the game. All of these games, all of it doesn't matter. Minecraft, it's like I don't think I've ever made a diamond sword or a diamond pickaxe. I don't think I've ever even gotten a diamond. I just give up.
Wow.
I've literally never played Minecraft.
You've never lived?
I have OCD, so I should not play Minecraft. But here I am farming my butt off in Stardew Valley for some reason.
They're all very, I mean, all the crafting games have a pretty similar gameplay loop. I just find that I really, really like the early games in a lot of them. And once, like in Minecraft, it's once you get involved with redstone and I'm like, oh, I'm building like basic physics engines. I'm like, I'm out. Same thing with, and then with Stardew Valley, it's for me, like I understand the allure of the role-playing relationship simulator that comes into it. But I'm like, I was told this was a farming game. And they're like, well, go down the mine. I was like, I was told this was a farming game. And I just get really mad at it. And that's kind of how that works for me.
See, the farming is like my least favorite thing to do. And that's why I grind my teeth. I know I have to do it to make a little bit of money. But once I don't have to do that anymore, I can fish, I can mine, I can, flirt with everyone and then marry them separately and then erase their memories and then do it again. That's when I have a good time.
I didn't know you could. I didn't know there was a memory erase
There's
section.
a memory eraser, and there's also you can turn your children. If you have children with somebody, you can turn them into doves, and they fly away.
Aw, how beautiful.
It is. There's a lot of disturbing levels to Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
wait, we have to ask him who his person is, who his love interest is.
I don't even know. I remember none of their names. Like legit, like I'm telling you, I get into the game. I think I usually play for like one in-year game, and like one game in year. And I'm like, okay, cool. I've seen all of the seasonal festivals, and I'm just like, I'm good. And because I have an actual child, So like I should probably pay attention to him. And then my
Yeah.
dog, but the actual animal that lives in my house, my oversized dog will look at me like, "Can we go outside?" And I'm like, "Fair."
But can
Like
you put a hat on your dog?
I have tried.
Because you could do that in Stardew Valley. You can put hats on your dog.
That you buy from a mouse.
Yeah, you
Okay.
buy it from a mouse.
You guys are really selling me on this world.
I bet.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna be talking about video games. Obviously, that's what this podcast is. But
Yes.
Pearlman, Alex Pearlman,
Yes.
You're a-
Pearlmania 500.
Pearlmania500. You are politics guy,
Apparently.
and our
Yes.
listeners, they're Game Boys, right?
Okay.
I mean, Game Boys of all
They're
genders.
literally
Like
Game Boy consoles. It's very
Game
strange.
Boy.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. So they
these
all
guys-
voted. So they all voted because the price of AA batteries has gone up. That's what affected their vote.
They all they all voted for Andrew Yang.
Okay, got it.
These guys are
This is a
so
big AI NFT crowd. Got
look.
it.
I love these guys, but these guys are so dumb about politics. They know literally nothing. They don't even know what a politics is.
Okay.
Wait, are you talking about our audience? Our
Yeah.
audience is great.
I ran into a listener one time and I asked them who president was. They said Zelda. This is a true story.
All
It happened
they
to me
know
at
is
Wawa.
gaming. Oh my god.
So I guess what I want to say is in the simplest, dumbest way possible. Can
Uh-huh.
you explain to everybody what you do and what politics is? Why is it so
Sure.
hot right now?
Okay, I can explain this pretty easily. All right, let me just go ahead and start you off at the beginning. All right, at the beginning there was nothing,
Oh,
and then
God.
stuff happened.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
And no, so basically, as Matt has known me for 20 years, I've
Yeah.
been doing stand up off and on is the best way to describe it. And about 2 years ago, when the announcement about Roe v. Wade being overturned came out, I picked up my phone and I opened up TikTok and I started just yelling because it felt good. I was yelling a lot, and I was yelling specifically at the Democratic Party, of which I am a member. And I was very mad at Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer because when Roe v. Wade was overturned at the end of a 49-year plan by the Republican Party and conservatives and all this other different stuff, and even with a month advance notice that it was going to come from the Supreme Court,
Unbelievable. Yeah.
the reaction of the Democratic Party was to send out 13 mass text messages asking for $15. I think a bunch of
Yeah.
people just suddenly had that visceral memory reopened for them.
Yeah.
And I lost my mind about this because I'm sitting there surrounded by my friends and family who are, obviously horrified by this news that was coming through. Their healthcare is being destroyed. Friends of mine in the South and across states in the Midwest immediately lost healthcare. People I knew had their lives, who were pregnant at the time, had their lives immediately put at risk. All these different things. And the major political party that is supposed to be against this thing happening was like, give us money and maybe we'll do something about it. And I was like, that's not good enough. So I started yelling, and it became a very big hit. And then more people started following me. And then I think I stubbed my toe and I yelled about that. And then more people like that. And then I went to Target and they didn't have plastic bags anymore. And they're like, you can pay a nickel for a bag. And I was like, bags used to be free. What happened to paper? And then the Fox News started playing that. And I was like, don't do that. And then I yelled about Fox News listening to me yelling and how I didn't give them permission. And then more people started listening. And before I knew it,
Taco Bell.
the Taco Bell video. Yeah, I tried to go to a Taco Bell and get a Mexican pizza, but the lobby was closed because it was just the whole thing.
That's
These
sad
videos-
because I love Mexican pizza. I would
Listen,
be devastated.
And you don't want to. The whole point of the video is you don't want to eat it in your car, and because that's horrifying. I want to eat Taco Bell in the Taco Bell because I don't want that taco smell to follow me to Taco Hell, right? And,
Wow.
and that was.
Can I use that for my upcoming toilet
It's-
decals?
Yeah, listen, you can use whatever you want because the one thing I've learned, and as you know from being on the internet long enough, once you post it, it's no longer your property. No matter how hard you fucking try. There is a series. Listen, there is, I think there's about 8 different people posing as me on Facebook right now who
Wow.
are doing very well financially.
Holy
They're doing
shit.
great. I have absolutely no control over my Facebook presence. However, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Pearlmania500, and all those. I also do a podcast with my wife
Nice.
called Too Many Tabs. And that's one where, if you guys ever do this thing where you're with your partner and one of you just obsesses about something, you just happen to go on Wikipedia or you just like click on an article and then you start following hyperlinks, right? So you start and you're like, oh my God, there's this one character in Fallout 3. And then before you know it, you're like, okay, this is how Genghis Khan defeated the Khwarezmian Empire. And you're like, what the fuck? That is what our podcast is. It like starts in one place and you just kind of follow it through. And we have a book club and all this other different fun stuff. So Too Many Tabs, Pearlmania500. You can find any of that different stuff. I will tell Matt to link my Linktree in the show notes.
Will do.
That is a good idea.
That has everything in it. I'm going to send it to him via text.
I'm going to ask you one serious question that you will not have enough time or space to answer. And then one question that is clearly coming from me, Matt Allcamp. So the first question is based on what you were saying about, the tech, like, Democrats had 60 years to codify Roe v. Wade in some way. And it culminated in the inevitable downfall and a text for $15, right?
Yeah.
What is it about, and this is the only politics question I'll ask, what is it about politicians that the moment they get elected to office, they stop being activists, right? They lose their causes, and now none of their personal money goes towards any causes. None of their personal time goes to their causes. They just focus on this career.
So it's they are trying to bank political capital rather than spend it is number one. And number two, it's because if they used to be an activist, everyone they used to yell at is now currently their coworker, and they have to eat lunch next to those people and occasionally share a bathroom with them. Allegedly. I mean, that's actually, I think I have a button for that.
Allegedly.
There we go. And, that's from my podcast. But that is a big part of it is you end up, I mean, it's like any company at the end of the day, becoming a politician is getting a job in a company, and that company is either a state level, a local level, or becoming a member of the federal government of the United States of America. And a couple of things can happen there. You can be offered a lot of money from lobbyists, but you also get given a cushy life by the government itself. And so you end up with a disconnect between the people who sent you there and the person you were before you get into those seats. And that's really the biggest thing is you start looking around. I mean, one thing that happened in this last election, a lot of people on the ground here in Pennsylvania and across the nation felt that the economy has not been doing well for them for quite some time, especially since about 2021 due to inflation for many, many different reasons. On paper, the economy's fine. In DC, they were like, on paper, the economy's fine. And I'm like, well, I can point to all these different things that say the economy isn't. I know all these people who say the economy isn't great. And they would look at me and go, well, on paper, the economy's fine. What can we do about it? Now, on the flip side of that, you do then have people who gamify the way we view the world, specifically Elon Musk on Twitter, but also a litany of people who are being paid literally millions of dollars by billionaires to make sure that we all view things fucking horribly. They pump the gas on a lot of that different stuff to point out every small little thing that has gone wrong instead of focusing on anything or any idea of what we can move forward. So now we all live in a nightmare hellscape, and we have to go look back at very poor, broken adventure games from the early 90s written about Greek mythology to make ourselves want to rip our bruised teeth out of our fucking head.
Okay,
true.
And
this is
that's kind of where that
escapism at
goes.
this point.
Listen,
I
want to point something out. Escape rooms really popped off during the first Trump administration. That was practice.
Oh my God, that's true. So here's my second question.
Sure.
Hunter Biden, 2028.
What?
No. Listen, I've actually been a big advocate for Hunter Biden getting a pardon, so I'm actually happy for it.
No, I'm happy about it. I think it's
videos. Listen,
I think it's the least consequential thing of all time.
I'm going to say it right now. If none of us can be free, at least Hunter can be free. Like to me, Hunter Biden getting a last minute pardon is Free Willy jumping over the wall. And you're like, but in the back of your mind, you're like, well, he can't survive, though. Free Willy's been in a tank this whole time. Like, he doesn't know how to feed himself. And then Hunter Biden's like, I'll never commit crime again. And you're like, oh, buddy.
Future president
Oh,
Hunter.
buddy.
No!
Future
Giant
president
Fleet
Hunter.
Foxes and Incubus fan. Giant Fleet Foxes and Incubus fan.
Okay, so all right,
It was in the deposition.
so okay, that's our politics section. Everybody,
I said
everybody
I wouldn't have answers, and I did.
I said you wouldn't have
No.
enough time to answer,
But
And
he
I
made it
did.
work.
Yeah.
I think he deserves props for that.
Yeah, and that's what my TikToks are about. I take very complicated things and I wrap them up in 3 minutes.
Do you have your applause button?
I don't have applause button, but I do have this button.
Roses might have an applause button still.
I have how about this one? That was
Okay,
pretty
that's
good.
not applause.
No?
That's pretty.
At that.
That's pretty. Okay, well, all right. If we're gonna go board for board, let me play you my favorite one. Ready? All right, everybody. Shh.
And that's a no Nazi guarantee.
That's right. It's the no Nazi guarantee.
I like it.
That's my friend.
That is his name was Dusk. Who
mhm.
does all of our audio for the Too Many Tabs podcast. We actually had to create a no Nazi guarantee button because when we were talking about history, so many things ended up and then the Nazis showed up. You're like, fuck.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we went on a really big kick about the 1880s, 1890s, which actually worked out pretty well for us for a while there because you realized you're just watching kind of like the analog version of the digital hell we're in now. Because it's just like billionaires and landlords going crazy. And then they're like, we invented this new thing. What is it? It's a way to send information around the world. Wow. And they use it to poison the people's minds. You're like, oh, shit.
Or they use it to
Again.
play video games on. So what video games are you into, Alex?
Sure. So the two I've been playing, I end up usually finding a game I like and then kind of just sticking with it. So
Sure.
I'm one of those guys who does, whenever I'm like, oh my God, I need to stop spending money, my default is just to play Skyrim again.
Right, yeah.
I will always, when you called me a big return guy, which was a very funny joke, very funny joke, but I will return to Skyrim often. I do.
The
and
return
I go there,
guys really love Skyrim, by the way.
They really love Skyrim. But I will go do that. But recently, I mean, I mostly grab my Nintendo Switch just because, again, we have a baby. So, like, I can't monopolize the TV. That's for Miss Rachel and Gracie's Corner and Sesame Street. So the Switch is perfect. So I was playing The Outer Worlds again for a little bit because I just really love that studio. But then the best video game as a new dad with an 11-month-old is Vampire Survivors.
Oh my God.
I will just play that. And they just had a new Castlevania DLC that came out that I don't quite understand, but I feel like I'm doing well.
Look, I stopped understanding Vampire Survivors about 8 months ago. And they have these new DLCs, and there's like adventure mode, and there's
adventure mode.
I have no idea what's going on, and I just when I am doing something else like editing audio or listening to something for school, I will just sit and play Vampire Survivors for 1 to 4 hours.
Yeah, I can tell you my favorite thing to do in Vampire Survivors is to get strong enough that you don't have to touch the game anymore.
Yes.
That's my absolute favorite thing is that looking over and be like, oh, I died? Well, I just have 6 revives now. That's fine.
If listeners don't know what Vampire Survivors is, it's like it's almost like a reverse bullet hell game where you are walking around collecting, you're collecting weapons, power-ups to make
Mega Man style power-ups.
To make your guy stronger while waves and waves of enemies just consistently come towards you. And every time you kill an enemy, they drop a little bit of experience, which helps you level those weapons up. And sometimes they drop new weapons for you to collect. So I got
pipelined into the game by YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
There was I clicked on a clickbait title. And the guy was like, the most addictive video game I've ever played. Geez. And I legit was like, oh, how addictive could it be? And then he starts playing it. And I'm like, well, you went the wrong direction there. It was like I fell for one of those bad mobile game ads. You know what I mean? We're like, you're pulling the wrong stick. And that's why you keep getting covered in lava. Like, that was me screaming. And then I was like, and then he was like, yeah, it's like $4 on Steam. And I was like, $4 on Steam? That's not that much.
No.
And then I opened up my Switch, and I guess it had just ported to Switch. And then it was like $5. And I was
I
like,
can't believe you were influenced. You
I was-
fell for an
I was-
influencer.
I was 100,000% influenced.
Holy shit.
And anytime it has DLC, I immediately buy it. But it's just a good game for like, it's just such a good mindless game. It's like,
Yeah.
I have 20 minutes, I have a half hour. I don't want to experience America in 2024. Play Vampire Survivors.
Here's how addictive Vampire Survivors is. When I started playing it, when it first came out, I was just looking for anything to because it takes so little of your brain to play Vampire Survivors, but you need to be consistently paying attention to it. So you need something else to do. You need something, generally for me, to listen to. For some reason, I ended up listening to the first 4 books of the Left Behind series while I was playing Vampire Survivors. I thought, I wonder what these are like. And I listened to the first one, and I ended up on book 4 before I was like, I can't do it anymore.
Matt, what I would say is that's a horrible thing to do. And if you ever find yourself playing a video game where you really don't need the audio, can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
That would be listen to Too Many Tabs.
Oh,
It's
wow.
a podcast you can find wherever you listen to podcasts. It's also on YouTube, on youtube.com/Pearlmania500.
Hey, Pushing Up Roses.
Honestly, the best way to find it is if you just follow me on Instagram.
All right. Hey, Pushing Up Roses.
Hang on. I'm listening to this pitch about Too Many Tabs, Matt. If you'll just...
Go to Pearlmania500 or go to Pearlmania500.net. Which is a direct link to my Patreon. And you can get ad-free content there. You don't like ads? You don't have to hear them. Go to Pearlmania500.net. And then, you know what? This podcast is brought to you by Delete Me. Join DeleteMe.com/Pearlmania20.
I can't stand what's happening here. Hey, Pushing Up Roses. What have you been playing lately?
I don't want to say, because Matt's going to make fun of me.
I want to hear it. I want to know.
I will not.
Matt,
yeah.
If you talk, I'm going to hit you with an air horn.
It's going to hurt.
I want to hear.
I've been replaying King's Quest VII. See, I knew he would laugh at me. Hit him with the air horn.
Okay.
Thank you.
What is King's Quest VII?
King's Quest VII is the last classic of the King's Quest in the franchise. It pivoted a lot because the previous games were more in pixelated style. This is more of a 3D cartoony style. It's very hated, to be honest, but I love it. You play 2 female protagonists, which I think is great. The artwork in the background is beautiful, and it's just very nostalgic for me, Matt. It's the first game I bought with my own money. King's Quest VII.
I like King's Quest. I don't want to come across as some sort of King's Quest VII hater.
You reserve that for King's Quest V, don't you?
Yes, I do. What was that?
I said I'm a real big King's Quest 3 guy.
That's my favorite King's Quest, but I have a feeling that you have not played
it.
He's
lying. You don't know what King's Quest is. King's Quest.
I just pulled it up, and there was a moment here where I'm looking at this art. I'm like, is this just Jafar gender bent? It's just gender bent Jafar fighting Anastasia from the movie Anastasia.
It is very.
No, it has a very 90s Disney, very 90s
Bluth,
Disney
very
look.
Don Bluth, very Disney. Yep.
This was like the direction that Sierra thought they were going to go, and they did this. They did the Realm Online. I think and they did Torrens Passage.
Yep.
And none of those sold very well. So
Did Sierra have a card game?
They pivoted to 3D. Did Sierra have a card game? Yes, they had a
Hoyle's.
Yes, that's what I had.
Yeah.
Leisure Suit. It was like Leisure Suit Larry and King Graham.
Yeah.
No, I remember. Yeah, I remember the Hoyle's Casino. I think it was something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had that because we were a Mac family.
Oh, okay.
So anything Mac would end up because there was so few games for Mac. That was the thing
at the time. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, especially in mid '90s. So it was like we'd go to the computer store. And I think it wasn't Office Max, CompuServe, I think was one of them. And we'd go there, and I just remember being like, my dad would usually let us get one, but it was like you had a choice of 5. And then I would always look over at like the Windows MS-DOS section. I'd be like, look at over there with their fucking Wolfenstein. You know, like I would look over there and those kids were having
have a PC. If
those
you wanted
kids
to be a
had
gamer, you had to have a PC in the 90s.
they were having the time of their life.
What were you even playing?
Eventually I could get like Dark Forces, but it was a lot of the game that I'm here to talk to you about, which we're apparently never getting to, because Matt just yap. But there was that, but there was actually it's funny because looking back at this, like it was a lot of like my mom was a teacher, and a lot of it was like educational ed games.
I love edutainment.
Mm-hmm.
I love edutainment games. Yep.
There was a bunch of games like How to Type. I remember there's this one that was this really weird green. I want to say like he was like a booger guy. I don't remember the name of it.
A booger
but
guy?
It actually, yeah, it actually uses
Booger Man.
No, it's.
But he's saying it's edutainment though. It's not booger.
Yeah, it's
Booger Man was not edutainment.
It's a game that's supposed to teach you like how to use a computer. And so it's very like Nickelodeon coded. And it was like, this is how like, but like instead of like closing a window, instead of it just making a close noise, it like made a fart noise. You know what I mean? Like it was like that type of thing. But legit, my mom did not know how to use a computer. We used that. My sister and I used that game as children to teach my mom how to use a Mac.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, it was great. She was like, and she always talks about it because she's like, you and your sister were so calm. Like we're not. Like now when she's like, how do I not get scammed on the internet? We're like, I don't know, die.
Oh God.
But instead, like back then, we were very calm children. We're like, oh no, it makes sense that you don't know how to use a mouse. Oh,
well, if you had a Mac, did you and you liked edutainment? Did you play any of the Carmen Sandiego games? Did you grow up on? those?
Yeah, we had those. I'm just trying to think of the ones off the top of my head that like we played
Oregon Trail. We've all played Oregon Trail, right?
Yeah, Oregon Trail. There was all those different, and my school had all Macs. So it was like we had the school, like this school out here was all very Mac heavy. Yeah. And then it was like once I hit like 6th, 7th grade, my dad's his company switched to PC.
Yeah.
So then his work computer became PC. And then at school, everything became PC. And I remember being pissed about it. And then one day, one of my buddies was like, I finally got like my own PC. And he was like, okay, cool. This is how you like do all the fun stuff. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Well, Matt, what game are you playing?
Yeah, Matt hasn't told us what game he's been playing.
Oh yeah, share. There's it going. As I said last episode, I've been playing some of these. I've been trying to get in games to kind of that people have been talking about as like some of the top games of 2024, at least in the adventure game world. So actually I've been playing Loco Motive.
You have? Oh my God, I haven't started it yet. Do you like it? Tell me everything.
It's really good. You know, it has it's very, very early LucasArts. Alex Pearlman, did you ever play any of the LucasArts games like Day of the Tentacle or Monkey Island or
I think I played like Monkey Island like briefly. Like there was a couple of those type of games. Again, like I think they had them at the computer lab.
Right.
Like at school. Like I didn't have them at home.
Right.
So this game is clearly inspired by those, and of course we talk about a lot of point and clicks, but this game, more than any game we've ever talked about, has that LucasArts flair to it. It's got these silly, cute animations. It's got funny, slapsticky jokes constantly, and really big cartoony sort of characters, and it's good. I hear that you eventually branch into multiple characters. I'm still only playing the lawyer Arthur A. Ackerman. It's a lot of fun. It's just I don't know that I can describe it besides it's got ridiculous point and click puzzles where you are combining the most absurd things in your inventory to make odd devices. I have not found it hard yet, but I've heard other reports of people talking about it being that sort of LucasArtsy out of the box thinking.
So this is like a LucasArts game meets Murder on the Orient Express.
Heck yeah, it is.
There is a murder on a train and you are trying to solve it, but mostly you're just like stealing old ladies' hearing horns and
my favorite.
You know, combining random ingredients to create a poisonous drink so that you can understand what another drunk person is saying.
But
like
see,
that level of logic. Yeah.
You know, Matt, that's like my kind of game. I love that kind of shit.
Matt
does not. Matt's more logical.
I do like this stuff, but
Roses, would your teeth survive?
Maybe not.
I
I
know
get
that's
stressed.
like from here on out. I need you to have a tooth ground scale. Like
Well,
this
see,
game made me
there's been a
grind
murder.
4
There's
teeth.
been the stakes are high. There's been a
Yeah.
murder.
Yeah.
And I gotta
Yeah.
steal some old lady's hearing horn. That is teeth grinding at like an 8 out of 10.
Wow.
And you have to
that's
decide.
strong.
The game at some point makes you decide whether you side with the boy who loves building bridges, or the identical boy who loves building tunnels. And that's
I
like
can't
really,
make that choice.
I know, it's heavy. It's heavy, man. So that's what I've been playing is Loco Motive.
Oh, I can't wait. Why didn't you tell me? I'm so excited.
I did just tell you.
Matt, I do want to cut you off real fast just because I pulled it up on Switch. It's not
Please.
Loco Motive. It is Loco Motive.
Loco Motive, yes.
It's
What have
two
I been
separate
saying?
words. It's 2 separate words. You've been saying locomotive.
Oh, okay.
like as in a train. It's a pun.
Yeah,
it's 2 separate words because it's a crazy thing.
It's a crazy train,
it's
is what you're saying.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the choices that are being made and the reason for those choices themselves are insane. You see, because it's the word loco, which
Right,
is
loco.
the Spanish word for insanity, and then motive.
Motive, like
motive for a
murder.
murder.
So you know what I want to talk about?
Sure.
I want to talk about a insane game from 1994 distributed by Maxis.
I love this pivot. I love that I corrected you and you pivoted.
That's like, you know what?
and now you know exactly what it's like to be a politician because I've seen all of them do this on podcasts.
It is an edutainment game that we will get really deep into
not.
after a short. No, it's not. After a short break. So, Roses, can you play Crazy Trainerino, and we'll come back and talk about Wrath of the Gods.
Everyone, welcome back to Save Your Game. I'm Pushing Up Roses. With me is my co-host. I don't have an adjective for Matt today. My very good jumper, special boy,
Incredibly strong,
rambling man,
incredibly fast,
little anxious, to be honest with you. Matt Offcamp. Hey, Matt.
Well, you know, every hero has to have his one tragic flaw.
Of course, joining us today, our special guest, Pearlmania500. Would you like to be called Alex or Pearl or Pearlmania?
Just not Pearl. I'll go by Pearlmania or Alex. There is
five hundo. I like 5 hundo.
5 hundo is pretty cool.
It's pretty
But no,
cool.
I mean, usually it's just Alex or sometimes people call me Pearlmania. I don't go by Pearl for one reason, which is that there is a conservative female influencer who also has red hair.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
And she sucks. And there's been times where people have like been talking about me or to me on the internet, and people have thought that they were addressing her.
Ooh,
and
that's not good.
I've shown up and been like, hey, this isn't about me. Fuck off.
No, you're talking about just Pearly Things, the biggest grifter pick-me girl on the planet. I yelled at her once on Twitter because she said that she made the bold claim that women with tattoos are ugly and sluts.
Yeah.
And I'm fully tattooed. And I was like, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes, to sluts, yes, but not to bad person.
Yes, but I can't stand her. She definitely
Horrible.
falls underneath one of that type of level of grifter.
Yeah. Horrible. Just infuriating. I can't even. I have a hard time watching docs about her because I get infuriated at the footage.
Well,
I did not know about this person until now.
Yeah.
Oh.
She exists just for attention. That's the thing, is she's the type where she makes content for people to get angry at and engage with.
Rage
and
bait.
as you guys know from being on the internet for long enough, algorithms can't tell the difference between good and bad engagement, which is why I like to be on Blue Sky using Pearlmania500.bluesky.social. You guys can follow me there. If I don't like your content, I will block you.
Very good segue. I appreciate that.
I think that is how we use Blue Sky, right? All the other sites fell apart because of engagement bait and trolls. Just block everything.
I'm a very big. When you asked actually earlier in the previous segment, when you asked what my favorite game is, for me, honestly, right now it has just been Blue Sky. I've had having a really, I have been having a really, really good time on Blue Sky to the point where I've been making less TikTok and Instagram content because I've just been having such a good time on Blue Sky. And I'm like,
are you following me on Blue Sky?
Are you on Blue Sky?
Yes, I am.
Well, then what is your handle
on
Blue
Sky? You can find me at pushingofroses.bluesky.com or whatever the fuck that it
Sky
is.
Social. All right, I'm going to find you right now.
Yeah.
All right, this is how we do it.
Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff on there. There's a complaint about Netflix.
Oh, good stuff.
There's some art. Alex, I don't know if you knew this. I don't know if Matt told you this, but I'm an artist.
Roses, you want to tell people what Wrath of the Gods is?
No, but I will. Here's the thing about that game. So a little known fact about me is that I love FMV games. Always have. I grew up on adventure games, and I grew up with computers, especially when personal computers were becoming more home friendly. People were having them in their houses. And I know that sounds wild if you're of a younger generation, but there was a time when computers were for work only and people didn't really have them in their homes.
And maybe you had them in your family room.
Yeah.
The family computer. What a strange concept. Yeah.
Horrible. Yes. Can you even imagine? I'm not sharing my computer with anyone. Yeah. There's weird stuff on it. Now that I'm a YouTuber, there's a lot of weird stuff on my computer, just saying. But anyway, mid 1990s, right? I'm very into adventure games at that point in time. But also a lot of live acted FMV games came out. And I just thought that was a really interesting way.
What does FMV mean?
It means full motion
video.
Okay.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be live acted to be full motion video. Dragon's Lair is a full motion video. It means that there are pre-rendered animations, pre-rendered backgrounds, pre-rendered animations that happen in this game.
Oh, so like cells. It's like they did digital cells, kind of like in cartoons.
Right, but yes, and generally when somebody like kind of colloquially says FMV, they are talking about live acted, but because we talk about much of this here, we make the distinction.
I always like to, because I'm a woman on the internet, and people will correct me no matter what I say, even if I'm correct. So,
well, I asked what FMV was just because I'm stupid, but also I've been calling it Mortal Kombat graphics because to me,
right.
A picture of a guy doing a stuff that is then manipulated. To me, that's just Mortal like the Mortal Kombat. The original was the first one I saw do that. I know they weren't the first, but that was the first popular game to hit like my street. My
sure,
yeah. I really liked that when it went into adventure games. I thought there was so many possibilities. It was exciting to me, I guess, to see live acted. Only for all of my excitement to be quashed by bad acting and poor quality. And
can you believe it led to this?
Yeah, I just can't believe it. So
Wrath of the Games, Wrath of the Gods, Wrath of the Games is probably
Wrath of the Games. Yeah, you're right. So Wrath of the Gods falls into that point-and-click adventure FMV game. Is from 1994. It looks like not a real game. If you look at like the cover, or if you go to play it, because for some reason the dev, I guess, wants people to play this game. It's available in browser. I think it's available on like in an app.
I played it on my iPad.
Yeah.
I played it on my iPad. I laid in bed like a boomer, and I played it on my iPad. And
I don't know who. Clearly, the person who made this game, still has a real connection to it because they've posted the full game on. You can just go to wrathgame.com and play the full game, and it's on the app stores for free. It's
I have the guidebook open.
Yeah,
because this is the one thing that I do love. When this game first came out in 1994, we had no idea of how to like beat it. Because there's so many times where you're like, what fucking logic? Where do I have to go? All these different things. And so in this time, I got to a certain point. I was like, wait, how do I get around? I was like, fuck this. Google it. I just wrote walkthrough. And I was like, no way is the guidebook for free on the website of the game. And they're like, absolutely it is.
Yeah.
In fact, this is the entire script. And it says about this guidebook, On the following pages, you will find a version of the shooting script that was used to create Wrath of the Gods.
Wow.
To make the characters of Greek mythology come alive, co-designer Jeff Kretcher videotaped costume actors on an empty stage and digitally composited in backgrounds from photographs taken in Greece.
Oh, they are from. Well, that's interesting. You know
Yeah.
what?
Well,
At the time, there were good reviews about this game.
I'm glad that those are actually photos of Greece, because anytime you look at anything in any background in the game, it just says, it looks like Greece.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, because
Great.
so there's like what the 5 actions you have at the bottom,
Yep.
Mhm.
which are walk, grab, look, talk, and then pouch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pouch. Yeah.
We all love to
Inventory.
pouch. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of pouch inventory, and then there's actually a little drop down menu below that where you can do it has information map, and there's also Oracle if you want hints, because it
Right.
does tell you
But
like, are you a
can't-
real gamer?
Yeah, you can't get the full points if you get
Yeah.
hints. So
Yeah, which who gives a shit?
yeah, points do not matter. They just do not.
The beginning of this game also, it doesn't tell you what to do at all. It just says,
Right.
welcome to the hero's path. They're like, you were probably abandoned by, they show you the story of a baby being abandoned by his grandfather, which is based on like a lot of Greek stuff. And then you're raised by a centaur.
And they show none of that.
Yeah, but by raised, you're a baby, and then you're a full man, and the centaur goes, welcome to the hero's path, and then walks away. And you're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, you have he doesn't in any way. So I went back and played, after I beat this game, I went back just to watch the beginning. And he does say, find your parents and prove your worth, right?
And
but that
he
means
says that,
nothing
like-
to you. Yeah, it means absolutely nothing to you when you start this game. It's
I
like a
just
lot
can't
of things
believe
in
they
this
didn't
game.
Show us anything from being raised. He
And-
finds us as a baby. It sounds like
They
he's
couldn't
walking
afford
on
a kid.
cornflakes. Like
No, they couldn't afford an 8-year-old.
Now,
I
Rose's-
think that was
yeah.
no. I think that was like someone who worked at the developer.
Oh,
Yeah.
That was
yes.
their baby. I feel like, because also when you look at a lot of the actors throughout this, some of them are clearly actors, like the merchant lady. I think
Mhm.
she is an actual paid actress somewhere in LA, right?
like the snake
Yeah.
oil salesman lady.
Yeah, the snake oil lady. and all that. I think she's an actual actress. I think she did community theater. I think she might have been. I never look her up, but she has the presence of that.
Yeah.
However, when you go to the afterlife and you meet Jason and Perseus, those are just programmers.
Oh,
They're just
yeah.
guys.
They're just guys.
They're just
guys.
who's
There's
the
a bunch of them.
beefiest guys we have in our programming department.
But
yeah.
also they're clear. They have the builds of programmers. There are a few guys. There's like one guy who shows up who's like, I'm Hercules. I mean, you didn't expect to see me here. I was like, okay. They went to Gold's Gym, and they were like, hey man, you want to be in a video game? He's like, I don't know. It's like, we'll pay you in weed, and then he went. I mean, again,
Allegedly.
I don't know if that's true, but that feels like looking through this thing, like the most important thing it feels like to the creator of this game was he really wanted to tell stories about Greek myths,
Yeah.
and especially about very rare Greek myths that most people don't fucking know.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
you really need to get be pretty
Well-
fucking deep into.
Like Canius. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
There's yeah.
There's two overarching things I want to say about this game. Is number one, Roses, when I told you what game we were playing, you were like, "Oh, I read on the internet it's an edutainment game," and I want to say. It is an edutainment game in the exact way that this intro is an intro. If you already know these stories, if you already know the great Greek myths, you can go, oh, okay, I'm supposed to use the mirror shield on Medusa. I'm supposed to use the pipes on Argos, etc., etc. If you already know the myths, and it's the same thing with the intro. If you already know the myth of Heracles, not Hercules, who you meet in the game, who's the only Roman figure you meet in the game. Everyone else is Greek, but for some reason we meet Hercules. Anyway, if you know the myth of Heracles, you know what the intro of this game is. And if you don't, you have no fucking clue. And this,
well, I want to cut you off real quick.
Yeah.
Because you're actually wrong, because what you just described was the origin of Theseus,
Oh boy.
not Heracles.
well, no, my father... Okay, go ahead.
The centaur thing that you're talking about?
Well, a couple people were raised by centaurs, like
Yeah,
Achilles was trained by a centaur too.
Yeah,
But no,
but not
I just
raised
mean
by
that's
No, I
true.
know what you
That's
mean.
true.
That's it.
I mean, my son is supposed to overtake me, so I'm leaving him in the wilderness. Is
Yeah.
a Heracles story.
It also the exact no, but it being a grandfather who's doing it is actually the story of Romulus and Remus.
So if you know every Greek myth ever, then you know what the intro
Here's
is.
how I ended up with this game in my life. Do you want to know how I ended up with it? My mom is literally a Latin teacher.
I was gonna say, I feel like I watched a couple walkthroughs to see what other people were doing in this game,
Yeah.
and the comments were like, "Yeah, I had this as a kid. It came with this pack, that it was like an educational thing. We had this on a school computer,
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom was a Latin teacher, and I think she saw there was a long time there before people with marble statues and their Twitter handles decided to make Rome their whole thing. It was very difficult, especially in the 90s and the early 2000s, to find stuff that was really like had a Roman theme to it or had a classical theme to it. So my mom had this penchant for like, if we were out anywhere and it was like, hey, that thing has a column on it, she'd just buy it. So like this game ended up in our house because we were like looking at video games. Mom was like, oh my God, it's an ancient Greek video game. This is my whole shit. And I was like, oh, it's a video game. Let me play.
Mhm.
And no one in my family had a good time. I want to let you know. I know that you guys, we can talk about some of the pitfalls about this game. And the absolute first thing, it's using the stone with the stick to pick up the boulder.
Yeah.
Just to get the sword.
Yep.
And here's the thing. I remember, I have a very deep memory. I think I was in 5th grade when we figured out that we needed that fucking rock to use the lever to lift the boulder, right? I remembered that. I'm 40 now. I was 10 then. 30 years later, I'm laying here and I'm like, how the fuck do I lift this boulder? Maybe I don't need it. Maybe I have to come back to it later. I get halfway across the map and they're like, you need a sword, buddy. And I'm like, where the fuck? And
That's
why I looked
important, actually. That sword is extremely important.
It's the whole story is that damn sword. It's hidden to the right. I also like the way the map, like it doesn't lead you anywhere. It's just open maps everywhere.
And there's no fast travel. So
and
I want the viewer to imagine like so many spots to go with no fast travel.
And the map does not correlate with the directions you are moving.
No,
sometimes if you go to the left, you end up going north, and sometimes if you go to the east, the right, you end up going west. It doesn't make any fucking
camera
sense.
Gone mad.
Yeah, and I look. So the other thing I wanted to say is, okay, so yeah, it's edutainment under that very specific circumstance. Second of all, it feels like somebody was asked to do like a school project to explain their knowledge of Greek myths, and it just went wildly out of control. Every actor seems to be like now they're all adults, but they are acting like the people in your high school history class when they were asked to make a film about Greek mythology.
But that's why I feel like so many people in this are not actually actors. I feel like they're either people that the video game creator knew, people who worked at the studio. Yeah. And then again, like there's certain people where you're like, okay, they at least feel like they're doing something. Mm-hmm. But then a bunch of other ones I'm like I think the lady who played Hera, I think she was actually an actress. I think the lady who plays the mom, I think she might actually be an actress. Mm-hmm. And then, like, I think the queen that poisons you, who poisoned me 3 times because I kept clicking on the wrong button. Because they kept being like, "Oh, click the royal symbol," and it's like, and then look, and they're like, it's on the sword, and I'm like, how do I look at the sword?
You can't look at the sword. You just have to remember. Again. Yeah.
But then when I'm reading the guide literally is like, look at the sword again. I'm like, you can't. It doesn't fucking. So I just had to go. I had to die 3 times because then I keep the wrong banner.
But what about? Didn't you get the hint about like IO being an important thing?
Think about it.
You have to do it twice. You have to remember IO twice too.
Clicking it. I was just clicking. And it was just, and then when I was like, here's the sword, he's like, oh my God, you're my son. I mean, this is a sign. It's like, oh, then I'm also supposed to give him a ring. Like, how would I know that? That was most of me. Most of me playing this game was when I'd go to the guide and go, "Oh, okay, you need to get the rock from the avalanche to be able to lift the boulder, to be able to get the sword, to be able to show your grandfather, who then asks you for the ring." How the fuck would I know that?
That's
me most of this game. And can I tell you,
yeah,
this game is the reason, Matt, that when you told me that you do an adventure game podcast, I said I fucking hate adventure games.
Yeah.
This game actually turned me off from the entire genre.
Oh,
Anytime I would
no.
walk by and I saw the user interface, the HUD that would show look, walk, or interface, like Myst, Riven, I never played any of them because I had this game and I hated it so much I assumed all other games in the adventure game genre were this.
This is certainly an anomaly of a bad game.
Yes.
So just to give the listeners a couple, like a little bit of context. So first of all, there was an evening where me and Alex and a friend of ours were drinking whiskey around a fire, and we were talking about my podcast, and that exact conversation.
Sorry, whose
came
podcast?
up.
Whose podcast?
Whose podcast, Matt? Whose podcast?
Well,
why don't you say whose podcast it is?
Roses wasn't there at the time.
Oh, I see. So if I'm not there, I don't exist.
Oh, wow.
So,
well, guys, thanks for everybody for tuning into patriarchy.net.
So-
It's a wonderful podcast brought to you by Turning Point USA.
so Alex was like, why don't you have me on your podcast? I was like, you don't play adventure games. And he was like, I did when I was a kid. I played this one and it was about Greek mythology. And I was like, we will find out what that game is and we will play it. We will have you on the show.
Mhm.
And man, I cannot believe what that led to, right?
Yeah.
Like that is like this awful moment in history that led us down the path to this. So why this game is so bad, right? It's the acting's bad, whatever. It's bad in every FMV game. The puzzles are bad.
Hang on. Before you
Okay.
say it's bad, I want to preface this by saying this game actually got very good reviews, and I want you
Yes.
to keep that in mind. It got
the time.
reviews of really high quality graphics. One person
Yes.
said like the acting was good. They're incorrect.
Why?
Computer Gaming World said it was hours and hours of enjoyment. It was similar to Ray Harryhausen's work, which some of it is. Some of it there is some parts where
My
it
favorite,
looks like that.
real quick, the Ray Harryhausen part,
Uh-huh.
because for the listeners who don't know, that is the guy who did the stop motion for like King Kong and all those different stuff. Right? Am I right, Roses?
Is it King? I know him more for his Greek mythology stuff.
Oh yeah,
so-
yeah. He did the stuff. He did the Skeleton Soldiers and Jason the Argonaut.
Yeah,
and all
Jason
that
the
Yes.
different
Argonauts. I think Clash of the Titans, maybe.
I think he did that too. But for me, can I tell you my absolute favorite monster through the whole time is
He
when
did
you
do Clash
go,
of the Titans.
the one that is clearly a puppet. It's clearly a hand.
The
puppet.
annoying dragon.
Yes, the annoying dragon you have to shoot because he's,
Unbelievable that puzzle, by the way.
because he's bothering Atlas.
Yeah, he's bothering him. He's
but he's like
obnoxious.
he's just obnoxious. But it's so incredible because you're like, oh my god, and there's this fucking annoying dragon, and it just turns and it's just like it's somehow 7 steps below Triumph the Insult comic dog, and then you have to go through this whole rigmarole to get a bow and arrow, and shoot him, and then you have to
didn't
shoot him
even
like
wanna
9
kill him.
times.
I did
Well, here's
not
the
want
thing.
to kill this thing.
Okay. Yeah, he yells all sorts of like, you couldn't hit the Parthenon if you were 3 feet away, and he's got that kind of accent, right?
Yep.
And this guy, so you can shoot him. You can shoot him 1,000 fucking times, but if you have not gone and gotten longbow training from
Yeah.
the centaur. And this is a thing that drives me crazy, and I think it's emblematic of this game. You go to see Atlas, and he's like, if you can get this dragon to leave me alone, I will give you a golden apple. And earlier, depending on your sequence, right, you have ran into your centaur friend, and he has said, I will give you more training if you get me a golden apple. And so you might make that connection, like, oh, okay, he'll train me on the bow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even if you fail at hitting the dragon with your bow, Atlas says something like, oh, you need more training with the centaur. So you go to the centaur and he needs a golden apple, But in order to get the golden apple, you have to shoot the dragon.
Yeah.
But in order to hit the dragon, so you can hit the dragon as many times as you want, and you can't kill the dragon until you get the training. So I hit the dragon like 20 times, and he wasn't dying, and I was like, what the fuck? So I look up the walkthrough, there's a second golden apple!
Yeah, there's a second.
Yeah.
That's right. There's a second one.
And that was, so this was the one time where I actually like nailed it, because if you go from Atlas, and I was like, all right, he's like, says that whole thing, and I'm like, okay, the guy's on the other side of a wall, so I clearly need a bow and arrow. I know where to get the bow and arrow because I got the club first.
Right.
Okay,
From the ladies with the one eye that they
you can just do it again.
with the weird
This is
boots.
by the way, listeners, this is a puzzle that is also in King's Quest IV. If you just take the eye from the fates,
take it.
which isn't,
Is that 4? Is that King's Quest 4?
Is it 2?
I think it's a direct. No, but I think it's a direct.
It's Perseus. Yes, it's the story of Perseus is where it happens, but it also
but
happens
I think
in one of the King's Quests.
No, but I think I think that's exactly what he does in Clash of Titans.
Oh,
in the
okay.
movie Clash of Titans in the 70s, I think he actually just catches, like they're tossing the eyeball back and forth, and he just catches it. He's like, "Ha ha!"
Yeah,
that's in the myth of Perseus, and so that's what.
I'm saying
it.
But then it made it to Clash of Titans, and so they're referencing the Clash of Titans of just snatching it in this way.
Sure,
but for me, I was like, I did the club first because I was like, I knew from looking at the guide that there was a club thing coming up. It was like the next, because the way the guide is set up is also odd. The one especially that's on the wrathgame.com is because it's set up via slide, because each area you walk into, it is its own page and it's its own slide, instead of telling you a progression that makes sense.
Right.
So it doesn't give you a walkthrough that makes sense. It goes, all right, if you're here and you go, then you go to the next room, this has happened. But however, you need to have already done this, but that is actually 7 pages from now. And you're like, what? How? Fuck? What?
Yeah.
So it's like a choose your own adventure, but every adventure ends up with Donald Trump as president. So it's like,
I used a different walkthrough because of that. I was so fucking annoyed. You can find a
no, but the second golden apple, I actually just went back a different direction because I was like, you know what? Let me just walk through. When I got to the crossroad, I'm like, I'm just gonna go this other way just to go see what's over there, because maybe I don't need to be doing this yet. And then I walked up, I just saw an apple in a tree, and I clicked on it. And it was just Dionysus shows up with a full
worst depiction ever, by the way. What is that?
And he has an applause break, and there's like background music. Nobody else has any of this. And he blows up a mountain. He just out of nowhere, he's just like, I'm Dionysus, and I'm a 70s game show host. You're like, what the fuck is happening right now?
What the fuck was that? Yeah.
But again, I will say in 1994, like this was groundbreaking. Like this was actually crazy, because I remember there being another game we got around the same time, and it was not really a game. It was actually like a simulator, and it was like a garden designer that you could use basically like photoshopped images of like rocks and different types of plants to like design a garden. And it was similar to this in that you were taking digital photos and then manipulating them. So like with this, you can see like, oh, they cut out like a rock, or like they cut out like this ramp for the stone, and then they put that up against a wall. I could see like the hours and hours that took. Today, you're like, wow, that sucks. 3 buttons on AI and it's done, and it still sucks. But like to make each of these scenes probably took them like days.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with like any art, right? Is that you can put a lot of effort into something, and you can acknowledge that. Like, I'm playing through this game, I'm like, okay, this is a lot of characters, it's a lot of screens. And it got good reviews at the time because it did feel innovative to people. It's just that there are decisions that like I would have made, like the acting is not good, for example. No. It's just not.
Beautiful backgrounds though, and a lot of beefcakey men.
Yeah. It's also trying to have this very particular sense of humor. Let me put this out there. It's a little bit of a spoiler, but I don't care because it's Wrath of the Gods. The very final thing you hear in this game is the main character saying, I'd like to thank all the little people who made this possible. I'm like,
the only time you hear that man's voice, and it was fucking so shocking. It's like, that's your voice? That's your voice?
That's the very last thing you hear in this game.
Excuse me?
Yeah,
sir, that's your voice?
It's just trying to have this weird, obviously it's a game about Greek mythology, but it's also trying to have this modern sense of, it's almost trying to be anachronistic and use that as humor. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not supposed to be here, you know?
Yeah, there's a joke at the market where there's an iron. There's like a modern 90s iron for a shirt.
Yeah.
And like you can click on it. He's like, that's not for sale. We haven't invented electricity yet.
Right.
And you're like,
yep.
Okay,
you showed it to me. Well, what am I supposed to feel here? Am I supposed to feel stupid? Like, what is the joke here?
Yeah, and there's a few things like that. Like, right, like to me, the biggest thing was the logical jumps. It did of like how to solve a puzzle. And to me, the other big part of it was that it's clear that part of it is like designer versus like a game designer versus like having someone actually play the game to say whether or not they like it.
Mm-hmm.
And because they probably never put it in front of like a wider audience, besides just the people who are playtesting or the ones who are also making it, they never had anyone be like, hey, maybe like lean in a little bit that you need to make a lever with a rock. Yeah. Because like literally give us a stick and then snap it in half. And that's not like, that's not obvious to me. It wasn't obvious to me when I was 10, and it wasn't obvious to me 30 years later when I was 40 that the rock that I was supposed to notice on the ground that blends in with every other rock, that is like, even when they remastered it, they didn't make it a little bit more gray. You know what I mean? Like they didn't make it pop anymore.
There's that's the thing that Jack Allen talks about in adventure games. He's the editor of adventuregamehotspot.com, and he talks about how more adventure games need more playtesting, right? And that's what that's what you're talking about. This game needed more playtesting. It needed somebody to be like, it sucks to have to sit through the same animation, the same video 7 times because you can't shoot the dragon right. And it sucks to walk through and watch him slowly walk through 19 screens to get between the warehouse and the temple.
Yeah, and it also, well, that's actually one thing that's interesting is, again, you're playing a re-release of this game.
Yeah.
Right? This is a thing that's in the guidebook. We've added some of the background information that is available in the info during gameplay. Like you were supposed to go into almost in every screen. You're supposed to go into the info, read the myth this screen is based on.
No way!
And then figure it out. However, that doesn't work if some of the stuff you need is 19 screens away in an area you may not have even gone to yet.
I fucking had no idea that was even in the game.
Yeah, if you go look at the info button on some of these screens, because
it shows
Well, you know, the one screen that really gets me is the dragon teeth soldiers in the field.
Yeah. I looked that up after the game. It's the
you throw the stone at them. It's
the Spartoi soldiers.
Yeah. You don't need to knock them out. I don't think so, right? Or they just not let you buy.
You don't. I don't. There's a lot of stuff in this game that I found out later you don't need to do.
Yeah, but I mean, there's just so many parts of this game where you're like, did I even need to do that? Is that even necessary to get to the final thing? And again, there's no, people always point to the first Legend of Zelda game. Take this, it's dangerous out there. And then it just kind of drops you into a world. But like, there is a logic to it that is well done, that kind of points you around how to get around that giant map.
Yeah.
That does not exist in Wrath of the Gods at all.
No.
To the point where, like, when I discovered that the map actually had 4 chambers to it, I was like, what? And then on top of that too, like, stuff can be said to you that cannot be replayed. That Agreed. Is very important that you might just miss. And you're like, wait, and there's no like adventure log to go back to. There's no way to really follow through. Now, again, this was at a time when like this game would have been $55 in 1994, which would be worth a lot more money today. And so
they expected you to play it a bunch of times. Like this, I could see enjoying this game if it was my only game and I played it for years.
I will say that, like, scrolling through, because I got about halfway through the game, And then I was like, I did this before. I feel like I've experienced enough of it that I can talk about on the podcast. But like scrolling through, like I remember actually getting pretty near the end.
Yeah.
I don't know if necessarily we ever actually beat it. But I remember like getting past Argus and like, trying to do all this different stuff. And my mom explaining to me the Greek myths attached to them. So for me, like it did have a good learning experience with that, because I'd be like, how would I get past Argus? And she's like, you have to play Pan's flute or whatever and like put him asleep or however, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I will say this about the edutainment aspect of it. It's not necessarily directly educating you, but I can see this game kind of like your experience as a younger person, maybe being curious about it. Maybe this sparks your curiosity of an entire genre, of
It
Greek
sparked my
mythology.
curiosity. It sparked my curiosity the way a Simpsons reference to a book sparks my curiosity.
Right.
Like when you're watching The Simpsons and they make a joke about Moby Dick and you're like, what's Moby Dick? And now the thing is back then you would have read in 1994, you would just read Moby Dick. Yeah. Today, I type in what's Moby Dick. I read the Wikipedia summary that has been AI generated at the top of Google. So now nobody gets any fun and it's wrong. And then I go the rest of my life believing that Moby Dick is some guy's fat cock who is a DJ.
Well, Roses, so this is you stepped away from the recording for a second, and Alex pointed me to something that I had no idea about, and I wonder if you did. Did you know that every single screen, and now I'm clicking through and doing it, every single screen has an info button that tells you the myth that is associated with this area or character or puzzle?
I think I did. I
didn't know that the entire time, but apparently that is how you solve most of these puzzles.
Yeah, but that's the problem with these kind of games is you go through it not knowing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and again, there's nothing in the game that like grabs you.
No.
I look a lot because somebody a long time ago talked about how the first level of Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers, is like the perfect tutorial level.
Yes.
And there's like the joke one about how like today it'll be like hit A to jump, hold down B to run. Like you just have to do it. And like, because there's only 2 buttons and an arrow, like that is kind of how that works. But this game just needed that. It needed to have something that kind of like not really held your hand, but at least kind of like points you in a direction. Yeah. And that was the reason why I was like, when I recommended it to Matt for me to be on the pod, I was like, maybe you guys will have a better time because you have experience in this genre.
And
that maybe I assume.
Oh, see, here's the thing though. I wasn't mad at the puzzles like Matt is, and maybe you as well, because I grew up on non-logical puzzles. As I've said many times on this podcast, Matt prefers like the Myst type of game. See, like we have an overlap, right? But in terms of very illogical puzzles, like did I figure out the stone and the little stick and lever? Yeah, I did, because I grew up on puzzles that did all these wild things. King's Quest did a lot of strange puzzles. So I guess my brain is broken and now wired incorrectly. Thanks to Sierra Games.
This did feel a lot like a King's Quest game. I do want to talk. There's a couple things. Pearlman, I know you need to get out of here. So there's a couple things that I want to talk about. One is just a note that I have written, and I don't know if you guys clocked this. Okay. But there's a lot of shirtless beefcakey guys with big muscles and hairy naked chests. There's, however, one female character in the game who clearly was asked to show more skin, said no, and they airbrushed the space between one of her garments of clothing with flesh color. And did you guys see Ariadne? Did you guys meet her? She's on the Isle of, I guess, Crete. It's when you're in the... When you're about to face
I did meet her.
I don't know if you noticed, her entire... she's wearing like a deep V. Her entire chest is airbrushed.
Oh, I didn't
so
notice.
It looks like she's wearing no clothes under it, and it's clearly just Photoshop.
But the thing that I noticed really hard is because I played a lot of live acted games. This reminded me of like the cheapest version of Phantasmagoria that you can get. There's even a couple similar puzzles, which is neither here nor there. But I noticed that sometimes the bodies don't move with the face, almost as though the faces or the heads were like composited on top of these still bodies. And that's why you'll notice that people, when they're talking, when characters are talking to you, they're not moving their head around a lot. They're pretty much staring straight at you.
Yeah, there's
I
like
don't know what happened there. It just looks
there's like
so bad.
4 or 5 of those in the game, and every single time it is uncanny valley, like
It's weird.
terrifying.
It's weird, yeah.
There's two pieces of dialogue that that drove me insane. Number one was when you get kicked to the river Styx by the guy on the cliff. Do you guys know that?
Oh yeah. Yep.
When he just yells, "Wash my feet!" and
Wash
you just
my
start
feet!
doing it. But you just start doing it.
Yeah.
Like there's no
Do it. Yeah,
you just
why?
do it. Like it's there's no like
Why?
on his feet. There's no get the bucket. There's nothing. It's just start washing his feet. And then I was like, well, I guess this is just who I am now. And then
This is
I
who my
tried to
character
walk away,
is.
and then he just boots you off a cliff.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is then when you're down there, finally I needed the coin, and I go find the coin from I guess I steal it from a
You
ghost.
steal it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it falls out of her mouth, and she can't pick it back up. So you go get it, and you walk it over, give it to Carry On, the boatman. And I just tried to give it to him, and he usually just grunts, but then he has this completely different voice, and he's just like, well, that's not how we do things here. And it's like, what? But like that, he either is like a shade that is like, ugh, or he is like an old British butler. But then once you give it to him, he is then like just death himself, because he pulls his hood back and he has this skull.
He has a skull head.
And I'm like,
yeah.
what the fuck is going here?
There are
The-
a few lines in this game, like you're talking about, where it's clear that these were part of the remake, where a line was put in later because nobody could get the puzzle. The one that I noticed the most was at the very end. You don't have to do the final confrontation. And she says in her voice, she's like, you are a hero, but there's one more trial you have to face. And then in a totally different voice, she's like, but no one will blame you if you don't. I will give you the key to go to the end of the game now. And I think, yeah. But okay, so there's 2 things I want to do. Pearlman, I know you need to go. So here's 2 things I want to do. One is I wanted to ask both of you, who is your least favorite actor in this whole game?
My least?
The one you hate the most.
I really hated Hermes.
Oh, poor Hermes.
Because it's not his fault. It's not his fault. It's the because you crawl up Mount Olympus to steal his sandals.
Yeah.
And he's asleep. And I was like, oh, there's the sandals. And I just clicked. And then he immediately, the character immediately bumps his knee. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to walk down first, and then walk over, and then click. So I walked down, and then I clicked, and then it's on the sandal, and then he just bumps his knee again. I'm like, wait. I was like, is this the equivalent of like crouch? Is this the equivalent? This is the sneak puzzle? And then, but every time I did it, he would pop up and be like, not on my watch, or whatever it is he says. And it drove me insane. Yeah. And also, like, he has a really bad wig on, and it's just like terrible. Oh, I would say him, and then also that one, the queen who keeps poisoning you, because like, why? She just doesn't like me.
Death to the imposter.
It doesn't explain in any way why she hates you.
She just she does not believe you at all.
This is Hermes' line. He just goes, "Go away, kid. You bother me."
Yes. Great.
Rose's least favorite actor.
I think I would have to. This is the main dad guy, the grandpa, the dad, whoever you want to call him, the one in the terrible wig. He's on the cover art. He does weird things with his mouth when he acts and he talks, and I don't like it. Okay.
Yeah, I think my least favorite is the fucking guy with the torch who helps you through the gloom. And then helps you fight the Hydra.
Yeah, the Hydra. The guy who's like, okay, we got to do this before I chicken out.
We got to do this before I chicken out. Do you need a little help over there? He is so much of a fucking community theater actor. He's, he made me want to beat up a nerd. Yeah.
So I remember my dad playing that part when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And my dad just kept lopping off Hydra heads and did not know to walk back and then call to the guy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because if you walk to the guy and then try to talk to him, he won't talk to you. If you walk back across the gloom
No
and like hop
way.
the little islands and go back to him, and it doesn't tell you to call to him from the other side only after you just cut off a head.
Right.
Because
That
the only
is
way to activate him is
wild.
he comes there, you go across slowly, ever so slowly. You walk in, the Hydra comes out. You're supposed to lop off at least one head,
Yeah, you have to do
and then
yeah.
come back and then call to him.
Yes.
That is the order to unlock him. My dad, I swear to God, I think he spent hours
Oh, that's awful.
just like lopping off Hydra heads. I think he went because there's a whole side part where you get like firewood. He thought you had to do your own fucking torch. He tried to kill the guy. Like, I mean, again, because the logic of this game is so broken, and like
Yeah.
I understand again what Roses is saying. I remember that. There's two moments in my life I remember my dad giving up on puzzles. One was this exact moment with Hermes, and the other is in Zelda: A Link to the Past, when you have to go to get into the thief's lair in the dark realm or whatever, the mirror universe. You have to go to the other one and then blow up a wall and then go back.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He didn't know, like, he actually called in the Nintendo Power
Holy shit.
because he was stuck for so long.
Yeah.
And he was like, fuck it. This is why I make
This
money.
is worth a whole paycheck. Yeah.
Yeah. He literally, and we listened to the person like open the binder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we heard
Yeah.
them open the binder, be like, all right, so you have to go against this wall over here and then put a thing in the dark world. And my dad was like, how the fuck would I know that? And like slam the receiver down.
That's
Oh,
so good.
no.
All right. So there's one last segment I want to do before we say goodbye to you, Pearlman. But first, do you have any last observations that you just need to get out about this game?
Yeah, this ruined my holiday. You ruined my Thanksgiving.
You're welcome.
And I never want to play this game again.
I will say that I am glad to have gone back to it because, like I said, this game is so terrible.
Yeah.
It's so bad at so many levels that it actually made me want to play a good adventure game. So if
Okay.
you have a good adventure game, I know you mentioned Grim Fandango or another one.
Monkey
If
Island,
you have
yeah.
one that you think is a good, again, more passive because I have an infant that just went to sleep in the next room, so I'm trying to keep it down. But more of a good passive one that is probably on the Switch. Point me in that direction, and I would love to check it out and then maybe come back and talk to you guys about it.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So I do want to, before we lose you, I do want to do a segment that
Is he going to die?
a classic
Before we
segment.
lose you.
Yeah. Yeah. A classic segment from this podcast that is always relevant in adventure games and none more relevant than this one. It is called "What Do My Pants Weigh?"
Oh my God, we're bringing it back. We need a
We're
theme
bringing
for that,
back
Matt.
what? Yeah, we need a theme. I've never made a theme. If listeners want to make a theme for "What Do My Pants Weigh?" So this is a game in which you don't have pants. You don't wear pants. You're wearing a fucking toga. I do not know
That's
where
true.
you keep your inventory, but you get so much of it.
Oh yeah.
So much of it.
Oh yeah. Oh, gotcha.
I mean, you have a big old rock in there somewhere.
Yeah. So you have a
if you don't break the first stick, you actually have two sticks.
You get
That's
two
true.
sticks. You can get a sledgehammer. You can get
A sword.
You get a sword. You get a
It's
lump
like an
of
iron
lead.
sword. It looks
You get
really
a wooden
heavy.
staff. So and you get a human head. Well, a Medusa head, but
How
the
much does a
golden-
Medusa head weigh, though?
you get a bundle of firewood that first. You don't even use that, as far as I can tell.
Wait, did you say we get a bundle of sticks?
Yeah, we get a bundle of sticks.
Okay.
So what do you guys think? So what you can talk about as much as you want. What do you think the point in the game where you have the most inventory, which is just before the end? How much do this unnamed protagonist's pants weigh?
Well, the one thing I will say is I do remember going to the end of the game because I remember as a kid the Cretan bull jumping. Because my mom
Yep.
actually taught me the whole thing about how that's actually a real thing that we know from the paintings found in Mykonos.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then how that being like how you defeat the final boss, and me being like, this is the stupidest shit in the world.
There's a pastiche of one of those paintings in the game.
Yes, 100%. That's the edu part of the attainment. But thinking back, because there's a crown, there's a tiara. I will say, are we doing kilograms or pounds?
I have both here, so either one works.
Okay. I'm going to go with 127 pounds.
Ooh.
Okay, Roses, what do you have?
There's just so much like iron in our inventory. Like we have a sledgehammer, we have that weird sword.
Don't forget a lump of lead. There's a lump of
lead. A two golden apples. Well, I guess we give them away technically, but
yeah, I only put one in here because you only have one at a time. But yeah,
I'm gonna say
you have oars, a staff, two axes, 2 battle axes.
Listen, I was gonna say 300 pounds because of the axes.
Okay, so Roses,
I might have overshot it.
Roses, you went a little high. Pearlman, you went a little low. At your heaviest carry in this game, you are carrying 261.75 pounds.
Shit.
Wow. Is this using like Dungeons and Dragons 5e like backpack builder?
No, this is using just like Google. So like that, like at one point you're carrying a vat of elixir. And you're basically carrying a small wooden keg, which, and a keg of whiskey is 100 pounds. So I was like, well, this is about a fourth of that. So 25 pounds. So that's the heaviest thing you're carrying. Golden Fleece is about 20 pounds. Firewood's about 20 pounds. Your mirror shield is 12 pounds. Medusa's head is 11 pounds. You have 261 pounds at one point. And you're not even wearing pants. I do not know where you're keeping this.
So can I tell you one thing about the not wearing pants part? Because I noticed it when I was playing the game. When you climb up Mount Olympus.
Yeah.
And I kept looking. I'm like, am I looking at this man's asshole right now?
Oh, God.
He's climbing up Mount Olympus, and then you scurry down it backwards. And I was like, the angle is it's such an odd angle to pick. They decided to put him there.
Yeah.
And it's like, the pixels don't really line up really well. I'm like, they could have had him go up the side of the mountain. We could have looked at his profile, but instead they were like desperate. Like, no, we need to show his back, and we need to show the fact that he is all legs, because it doesn't really click. It doesn't really click in your head when you're watching him walk through each scene until he's climbing up Olympus, and you're like, this is wild. Like right here, we're getting that's all crack.
Wow.
And just so you know, and if you're wondering, Matt, that's where he stored the battle axe.
Oh,
okay. You just got to zoom in, enhance. All right. Well, Pearlmania500, thank you so much for being on Save Your Game and talking about this horrible, horrible game with us. Thank you for sharing a piece of your childhood with us so we could all tear it to shreds.
I love childhood nostalgia.
It's childhood trauma, actually, but I'm really glad to have been here with all of you guys. And for anyone else who wants to follow up and maybe hear me yap or just hear me and my wife talk about all sorts of fun stuff, check us out. Too Many Tabs podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, or on YouTube, youtube.com/Pearlmania500. Just type Pearlmania500 controversy into anything, and my God.
Oh God! Well, thank you so much for being on.
You know what's fun? Just to mess with SEO on that, I'd have multiple episodes of shows like named after whatever conspiracy they say, just so I'll be the top result first.
That's fucking.
And I'm just
really
I was like, you know what? Fuck you. I'll SEO the shit.
I am Pearlmania500 controversy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, and Roses, do you want to stick around and do our ranking segment?
Yeah, I was gonna head out. No, of course
I'll do it. I'll do it by myself.
No, of course I'll stick around and I'll rank adventure games with you, Matt.
All right, Pearlman, Alex Pearlman, thank you so much for being on the show. We will talk to you sometime soon.
All right, thank you so much. And just real quick, I just want to say,
Shadow Daddy rocking her world.
Her world.
I don't know what that is.
I did a little dance there, though. You can't see it, but I did it. All right. Well, we are going to do a quick wrap up of this episode, and then we're going to do our favorite thing ever. We're going to rank some adventure games, whether we've played them or not.
I can't fucking wait.
I can't wait. Just can you wait a couple more seconds?
No, I can't wait.
Okay. Well, you have to.
No,
so-
all right, yeah, right. I literally have no choice.
Yeah, you have to, or I will bump you from this recording. We would just like to say that we're part of the Adventure Game Hotspot Network. Please go check out our colleagues over there. A lot of adventure game reviews. We love them so much, and in fact, a couple of our guests were who did we have? We had Paul and we had Josh.
Yeah,
From
both.
Adventure Games Hotspot Network.
Mm-hmm.
And so go check them out, and Matt, because he is a writer over there. And also, if you want to rant at us, rave at us, give us suggestions, tell me that my teeth are doing great, that would be great. You can email us at mattandroses@gmail.com.
That would be great. Or
Yeah.
you can find us on Instagram at Save Your Game Podcast. I fucking
almost
forgot
choked
for
there.
like a second. Yeah.
Yeah, we love Instagram. I'm very active on Instagram because I don't know if you knew this, but
No, what are you gonna say? I have no idea.
I am an artist, and so
And you know what?
I.
You know
Go ahead.
what? The thing about you being an artist that's so great is
that?
that the holidays are coming up, and people are gonna need to buy gifts for their loved ones, and where
Oh.
better than an artist that you already know and you're already a fan of, and you can introduce. There's nothing better than getting a gift where somebody's like, I didn't know about this, and
Mhm.
this gift is literally introducing me to it. So
That'd be sick.
so check out Pushing Up Roses and all her work and her stores.
Yeah. Check out my arts. I'm going to be having a drop soon, as the kids call them, an art drop. I think that's right? I don't know, but yeah.
To me, a drop is in old MMORPGs when somebody would be like cleaning out they'd be like, all my rare gear, I'm dropping it so
Yeah,
that
it's a
you guys
drop.
can, and then people would just run around the
Yeah.
screen trying to pick up everything they
Well,
could.
that's what I'm going to do. Is
Mm.
you can meet me out in Chicago. I'm going to drop a bunch of art on the ground. That's my drop, and then it's first come, first serve. You just, I don't know, throw money at me.
So the other thing before we go to the ranking segment, I want to talk about is the next month. So this is our last full episode for the year. You guys are going to be getting, I don't know if you'll be getting a half episode or not. You will be getting a Christmas special at some point. It'll be extra long. So you pretty much
Christmas.
get about the same amount of time this month that you
Yeah,
would otherwise.
Exactly. So shut your gobs. Quit complaining. It's Christmas.
Stop complaining. They're always complaining at me, Roses.
I'm sorry. It's probably mostly me.
Yeah, you're always complaining at me, Roses.
Ugh.
No, so you will be getting a really cool Christmas episode that I'm really excited for you guys to hear, and you might be getting a half episode in there or not. I'm not sure. It depends on scheduling, but regardless, besides that Christmas episode, I think maybe the second week of January, about somewhere around there, is when you guys will be getting the next regular episode.
What if we just don't come back?
That would be, oh man, it'd be one of those
wild.
It'd be like a spooky mystery that the internet would be thinking
Ooh.
about forever. Whatever happened to
And yet I'm still on
Sandiego?
YouTube. I'm still on Instagram.
And we just pretend like we're like, what are you talking about? When people
clearly haven't gone anywhere.
when people ask us about it, we're like, I don't know. What do you mean? Save your game? What the fuck? We act like we don't know each other. Matt,
Matt who?
No, so and I think when we come back, the thing that we have talked about is that we will be coming back with a best games of 2024.
Yeah,
list.
I'm excited for that.
Me too.
I love
So-
ranking things.
It's so much fun. So stick around, be patient with us, and we'll be back at you, and enjoy your December, everybody.
Yay! Am I supposed to play music now?
Yeah, play
the music.
play Alex Pearlman.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Save Your Game. It's me, your favorite artist, your favorite tooth updater, Pushing Up Roses, with my co-host, Matt Ocamp. Hey Matt.
Hey, it's me, your favorite Tubi video game reviewer, your favorite political candidate. Vote for me for Solicitor General. I'm part of the Whig Party.
Oh, good, great. I'm glad that's coming back.
Yeah. I don't know what they stand for. I just like the name.
Yeah, it's just real catchy. Are you ready to rank some adventure games, whether we've played them or not?
I would love to. Here's what I need you to do. Yes. Roses, I need you to give me one number out of 10.
8. Do you like how I said that with like zest and confidence?
I love that you said 8 because I'm looking at it now. I'm looking at the 5 games in 8 and it's very fun. Okay, so our first game is number 735.
Oh boy.
It's number 735 from 2004 from Grundislav Games.
Again?
It is Ben Jordan, Paranormal Investigator, Case 1, in search of the Skunk Ape.
I mean, you know where this has to go, right?
Right above and or below Case 7, the
Absolutely.
Cardinal Sins. Yeah.
Now, okay, because this is the first case, right? You said Case 1, right?
This is Case 1, yeah.
I'm just going to go ahead and on a whim, I'm going to assume that it got better in time with
maybe
cases, right?
I'll say this, it is the only one I played. I have not played all the Ben Jordan games. I've played the first, not the only one. I think I've played the first 3.
All right, well, I'm going to say it probably improved.
So if we put it right below
correct.
Ben
yes,
Jordan,
correct.
Case 7, it's so fun because occasionally on Instagram, right? People will we will post these lists, and people who do not know the podcast will comment on it. Like clearly they don't know the podcast will comment on it. Somebody was just like, "Why is Portal on there?" And other people being like, "Where's Monkey Island?" And it's like clearly you don't listen. But now people are gonna see Ben Jordan, Case 1 and Case 7, and no other Ben Jordan games, and just have no idea whatsoever. All right.
I love it.
Okay, so that's our new number 34. All right.
Nice.
This one, I love it when games that we've talked about on the show come up. This is number 2278 from 2019 by SFB Games.
Oh?
It is Tangle Tower.
Oh, amazing. Okay. Okay, so right away, it's going to go higher up. It's
very high.
It's going to go out of the mediocre block. Gosh. Oh, my gosh. I think it goes above Franbo.
I think it goes above Franbo. I think it goes above Cat Lady.
I do, too. I agree with you. I do think it goes above Cat Lady.
Personally, I would put it below Chance of Sonar. Here's our top 4 now. Portal 2, The Last Door Season 1, Chance of Sonar, and actually, in my mind, Tangle Tower goes right at number 5, but I don't know what you think.
I haven't played Chance of Sonar. It's not my type of game, though, so my instinct is to put it above that, but you feel very passionate about it. You played both games. We can put it at number 5. That's fine.
Yay! Yeah. I was about ready to
throw down with me.
I was ready to concede, but too late. It goes at number 5. Our new number 5, Tangle Tower by SFB Games.
I'm happy with that.
That was a really good game. It was like really good, solid mystery and like a super fun idea. I can't wait. Their next game, what was it? The Mermaid.
Yeah. The next Detective Grimoire game, basically.
Yeah. The next Detective Grimoire game was The Mermaid Mask, and that should be coming out hopefully next year.
Great.
And I am super stoked for it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this next one, weird. It's from 2018
Weird.
by Podunk Studios with a Z. It is 75% off on the video game platform Steam. It is called Madness of the Architect.
I like the name.
It is 14 reviews on Steam, mostly negative.
Okay, wait a minute. This does not look good at all.
Here's one of the positive reviews. All right, so it's mostly negative. Out of 14 reviews, 11 are negative, and one of them by Steam user Shogun says, "This is the worst game I've ever played." 11 out of 10.
Okay, I see.
They gave it a positive review, so that's obviously.
Unfortunately, this has to go in the lows. It's got to go in the lows. I'm looking at it. It just doesn't. It doesn't have anything innovative to it. It doesn't even use a good font. Like,
it looks like it looks like you have a flashlight and you're walking around a big bad 3D environment, and there is words written on the floor in red chiller font.
Hey, you know the name of the font. Nice job.
Yeah. I don't. It looks pretty bad.
It looks pretty bad. It's got to go low.
But it's got to go above whatever that fucking game was. Something of the Lost.
Yeah. Absolutely. That has to always be the last one. I don't think anything will
Okay, so this game sucks, but it doesn't, when I'm looking at it, it doesn't make me feel like nauseous like weird Truth is Stranger Than Fiction does.
Okay.
So my pitch would be it goes third to last.
I like it. Yeah, as long as it's not last, it's fine.
Oh my god! So I'm looking at the looking at the end. I had just been letting the trailer play in the background, and I hadn't been looking at it. And I cut back, and it is the end of the trailer is just like there's a big room with repeating gradient texture, and there's just words written all over the walls.
No,
and that's the thing. That's the gameplay. So
yeah, I'm happy.
Also,
where it is.
It's labeled strategy on Steam. And it says here, nominate your favorites for the Steam Awards. So let's nominate this guy.
Yeah, we got to nominate.
Okay. All right. That's Madness of the Architect at number 76.
That's too bad. I like that title.
We still don't have a LucasArts game on here, but we have Madness of the Architect on here.
How are we? Oh, I can't wait to get to some LucasArts.
So this next game, 3055 from 2023. Wow. It is a sci-fi game called Lifeless Moon. I know you aren't in love with sci-fi.
Okay. I'm looking at it.
Looks like sort of like an over-the-shoulder and sometimes first person. Looks like an exploration game where you're exploring some sort of weird, trippy version of Earth.
It's got very positive reviews on
Steam. Now we can't only go by Steam every time.
Sure. I know.
But it looks like, okay, so you're on like a big desert with just like chunks of Earth. Like weird, like, do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's like buildings just floating in the air.
Yeah.
And there's like a Japanese sort of shrine. I'm having trouble figuring out what the hell.
It's got that vibe of like Tears of the Heaven, where there are things like floating in the air, trees and buildings.
Apparently,
This is certainly more action to me. It is adventure, but it looks way more action for me to like it.
It looks like there's some puzzles. There's some technology-based puzzles, and it looks like you
Okay.
carry a notebook where the story unravels.
Okay.
It's got on Metacritic, it's got like a 64
Okay.
out of 8 critical reviews. Adventure game Hotspot, our site,
Nice.
gave it a 70 out of 100. Casey Parkinson reviewed it. Here's the hot take. Toning down the puzzles this time around wasn't the best idea, but otherwise, Lifeless Moon delivers more of what made its predecessor enjoyable for the most part, gorgeously presenting its well-told story of a scientific experiment gone wrong in the peril and premise of the unknown. The pros are an intriguing plot, reminiscent of the golden age of science fiction. Environments are varied and gorgeous. Soundtrack is enjoyably cinematic. And the cons are puzzles are far too easy, and reliance on writings to tell the story can be confusing at times. Now that at times is so clearly a Jack Allen edit. So if you look at any adventure game hotspot reviews, you see at times.
At times.
Mhm.
Jack is like, hey, can you just add just add that.
He's like, is it always that way? Or and then you change the language to say at times, and he's like, perfect.
Perfect. No, it's perfect.
So apparently this is a sequel to Lifeless Planet. And Planet has a hammer and sickle.
Okay.
So there's something Soviet to it. You get to a planet and
so because it is very positive, because there has been some pretty good marks on it, I guess it would go above the mediocre block, but lower.
I think, our mediocre block has already been kind of chopped up. I think it goes below Ben Jordan. I think it goes below Baker Street Breakouts.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe above Missing Since January. Here's what I say. Also, the other thing and I know we've been talking a lot about Lifeless Moon, and I apologize, but I noticed that the publisher is Serenity Forge.
And the developer.
Oh, the developer is what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's both. It's both the developer and the publisher. And
they did Half Past Fate. And they also did what else did I see that rules? They did Doki Doki Literature Club.
Oh, they published it. Yeah, they published Doki Doki.
And To the Moon, they did Slay the Princess. Like that's a pretty good. Okay, but anyway, so
I love To the Moon.
My thought was it would go above Missing Since January.
I gotta look that up again. Missing Since January.
We're getting into this it's so hard to remember what any of these are. If we look up all of them, if we look up everything,
it's hard,
it's going to be too. So I
agree with you though.
Okay, and then above that is Mazovian Adventure, which I don't remember anything about, but I'm also not going to remember anything about Lifeless Moon.
I might remember thing about Lifeless Moon because it's got a vibe. You know what I mean? It's got a little bit. I put it above Mazovian Adventure because that's that weird homemade game that somebody made for their kids, I think.
So then there's Deponia Doomsday.
I would put it above a Deponia game, personally.
Okay, all right. Well, I wouldn't put it above all the Deponia. Okay, then there's, and you know what, Deponia Doomsday. Hold on, let me make an argument. So, okay, Deponia was a bad series, but Deponia Doomsday was their fourth game. After they were not going to make any more games, they made a fourth game, and the fourth game was pretty much about how you shouldn't make sequels just because people ask for them.
Okay.
It will always be unfulfilling. And I think there was something, even though there's a lot that I hate about the Deponia games, there's a lot about Deponia Doomsday that I think thematically is interesting.
Okay.
That's why I would, because if we're looking at Lifeless Moon for around this area, I would put it maybe below Deponia Doomsday, even though it might be part of a better series. I think Deponia Doomsday is an interesting game saying interesting things.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, I will concede to that, actually. That's a good
Okay,
argument.
all right. Let's leave it there. Let's leave it at Lifeless Moon is at number 48. Next, okay, so last game is number 1,864 from Gennady Guryanov in 2017. It is called Secret Doctrine.
Secret Doctrine.
It has been removed from Steam.
Oh, well then how am I supposed to... Why was it removed? Do we have a reason? But doesn't the dev has to remove...
The dev of this game is Guryanov Gennady, a known Russian fraudulent scammer who got kicked off Steam before and snuck back under a different alias.
Wow.
Oh, man. Secret Doctrine has a 0 and a 1 on Metacritic, and then a 10, which is clearly somebody just being a shithead. Wow. That is so wild. Okay. Gennady.
You know what's interesting, though? Like, if we were to put this on the list, would it go below? I mean, the plagiarized game, it has to be last, right? Does this go below that for being in that same, like, scammy...
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've got a scammy game, and then, and then, like, a I think because it's stolen... Well, yeah, but did this guy steal shit? I don't know. I can't see any claims that they stole shit, but in what other ways is it scammy?
For now. Can we tie it for now? Look up I will look up the scam, and I will report back on whether it is worse or better than the plagiarized game. How about that?
All right, I love it. Okay, all right. So our number 79. So we'll do two 79s. Or you know what? Why don't we skip 79 and do 2 80s? So it's like they are removed from the list.
Yeah.
They're basically below the list.
Yes.
Secret Doctrine and Limbo of the Lost. 10 years apart.
I will do some field research, and we're going to figure this out.
I'm going to make a note on our spreadsheet. We're not going to forget this.
No, we won't forget.
Okay. Roses.
Yes.
Roses report on controversy.
I gotta come back with like a full report.
And you're like, hey, we have to delete the episode. This guy kills people who criticize this game.
Oh, God, that'd be terrible.
All right, well, that is our ranking segment. It's a very weird one.
That was a weird one.
Maybe our weirdest one yet. But hey, we got a new Penn Jordan on the list and Tangle Tower.
And Tangle Tower. Yeah. I like that. And another weird controversial game that we got to look up.
I can't believe we have 2 of these on the list.
I love it. I love that we're bringing attention to it so people can look it up, so people can
game developers. Stop it.
Stop that. Stop it.
Stop that. Stop it.
Don't they know, Matt, don't they know that podcast is art?
You'd think at least somebody would have told them that artists suffer.
I agree.